video, probably within 10 minutes, and I'll try and talk about my belief systems and then explain why I value certain things in my life. So as you can see, I need help to identify my own belief system. No, I thought about it for some time, and then I sort of brainstormed and I came up with 4 belief systems, and I realized that in order to move up the solo, I need to be able to describe my belief system very clearly and then talk about what I value, of course. And then when I move on later on, I'm keeping in mind that I need to also compare my belief systems with other people's belief systems, because I have to be able to explain connections between people's actions, which I will do in this video. But then I'm keeping in mind I have to compare and contrast different belief systems. So that's going to come later, the next phase, not that easy. So let's move on. So now I'm going to talk about my belief system, and I have outlined 4 points. One is biting my tongue. Whenever I feel embarrassed or have done something silly, I know that I used to, or at some point in my life, I have done this. What does that mean? So, being a curious child, I had asked my mom a long time ago, why do people bite their tongues in India? I've seen many people bite their tongues. And she told me the story of Goddess Kali. And who is Goddess Kali? This is Goddess Kali. So I'm going to enlarge the picture. She is this very scary goddess with blood dripping from her tongue. And obviously she's biting her tongue, as you can see here. All right. She also has a necklace made up of people's heads. Now, how gruesome is that religion? But then, nevertheless, there's a story behind it. And the story is that she was down on earth, came down from heaven, said, look, people, I am disgusted with the way you are behaving. You're not moral. You're not behaving with integrity. You're not being principled. You're not being open-minded. I'm so upset with you that I will chop off your heads. And what she did was, in her rage, she started chopping good people's heads off and bad people's heads off, and wearing them around her neck. So all the other hundreds and thousands of gods said, oh my goodness me, and went to her husband, who was the god of gods. Now you know that there are many gods in our religion, Hinduism. So Shiva was meditating, sitting up on Mount Everest, and he opened his eyes, and he says, he was meditating like we do every day. And he said, yes, what do you want? And they said, God, manage your wife, Shiva. She's creating havoc down on earth. And he says, why? And so they told him the story. And he says, I have a solution. Just leave everything to me. So he goes down. He looks at where his wife's running madly, like up and down, and he lies down on the road. And Parvati, Kali, is not aware that her husband is lying down on the road. And so she, as she's running, chopping people's heads off, suddenly she feels that there's something, she stepped on something, and she looks down, and there's a picture of her. Woe behold, she sees she stepped on her husband. And in Indian customs, we don't touch people with our feet, especially our husbands. And so what happens is she immediately stops, her anger disappears, and she goes, what have I done? And that is the story behind biting your tongue. It's also, to me, I realize that I value, or our culture, we value respect. We respect people. We respect people, and we feel the feet is dirty, and if we touch people with our feet, we're being disrespectful. And so basically, that is the value, and the belief is like showing, we're showing the fact that we are ashamed of ourselves when we bite our tongue. So it's being respectful is what we value. The next one is touching feet. This is something I actually hated, but my parents made me do. Every wedding or occasion when I'd visit India, I would have to touch my elders' feet, and there were many feet to touch. So I felt I was in a continuous position, like stooping. This is how we look. So I felt I was always in that position. And I didn't bend down so far, but I would touch their feet. And the reason behind some people say they're scientific, which I don't believe because there's no evidence, but they say that we have electrical energy passing through our body, starting from the brain, ending in our fingertips and on our toes. And if I touch my fingertip to your toes, there's an energy flowing, and we're sort of making a connection. And I'm receiving your goodness, and you're purifying my not so goodness. I don't know if that's true, but there's an energy connection. The second one is bowing is a sign of humility. So I'm humble because you are wise, and so I show my humility and you bless me. As simple as that. And we again value, it's a value of respect. That's why we do that. We show humility and we're showing respect. So the action, the ritual of doing something is a belief system, but it shows that we value respect. Another one is eating beef. This is interesting. It's got a lot of economic and it has an economic narrative to it as well. And one being that India used to be a completely agricultural society where people mostly ate vegetables and fruits. We were not a meat-eating nation. And we valued the cow because the cow gave us milk, and from milk we made butter, we made cream, we made sweets, and the cow helped us farm. So it was so valuable, it was precious to us, and the thought of eating it was preposterous. It also has, there's the epic called the Mahabharata. It's a huge big collection of stories which talks about values and beliefs, and one of them was the Lord Krishna, who was a very loved god because he's fun, he's naughty, and he was always surrounded by cows. So cows, because of their close connection to Lord Krishna, they are valued and considered holy. And that's another reason we don't eat cows. So one reason for me, I understand it's got nothing to do with my belief systems or the cultural reasons. I simply don't eat beef because I value my health. I feel that eating red meat is not good. Eating too much red meat is not good for our health, and I prefer to eat vegetables and fruits. All right. And the last one I'm going to talk about is never stepping on books. In our culture, when I came to India to study for a few years, I realized all my buddies, nobody would, if they stepped on a book, they'd quickly do this. Oh my God, forgive me. Because stepping on books means that you're stepping on God, and that's how we value education. So the belief is you can't step on a book, and a value behind that is that we